So this Saturday, I'm playing poker with the boys, and I'm not really paying attention a whole lot. When I get home, pull up my phone and see this story that Woody Harrelson is pushing weird COVID conspiracy theories. And I think to myself, oh boy, what's going on here? On Saturday Night Live, during the opening monologue, Woody Harrelson made a joke about a movie in which, he says he comes on SNL. After he leaves, he's leaning up against a palm tree in New York. There's a bunch of weird jokes in there. Smoking pot. Well, okay. And he's reading a movie script about how all the drug cartels in the world get together to buy up all the media and the politicians, lock people in their homes, and force them to do drugs over and over again if they want to leave their house. And he said, I threw the script away. Who is going to believe that? And no one says anything. There's scattered coughing. Nobody gets the joke. And then the media comes out and loses their mind, all saying that Woody Harrelson is pushing a popular COVID-19 conspiracy theory. There's two ways to see this. One, there's a breakthrough. People like Woody Harrelson understand that Big Pharma buys ads on TV and lobbies Congress. That's what it means to buy the media and the politicians. And then those people owe favors. You think media companies are going to go against Big Pharma when it's brought to you by Pfizer, brought to you by Pfizer? There's another way to look at it, and it shows you how corrupt and unethical the media is. He could be making a joke at the expense of conspiracy theorists, saying all of these people believe this crazy thing, and I threw it away who would believe that? And apparently now they do. Ha ha. Instead, the media goes with the narrative that on SNL, Woody Harrelson pushes popular COVID-19 conspiracy theory. The actor worked in a joke during his monologue that repeated a pandemic plot favored by vaccination opponents. Oh boy. The other big news coming out of this weekend is that the U.S. government is now saying lab leak is the most likely scenario in the origin of COVID-19. Now, I know the GOP has said it, and here's how it goes. Here's how it goes. So first, you get lab leak theory. Look, you guys know me, milquetoast fence sitter guy. I'm not going to come out and immediately just be like, I believe whatever they say. However, it seemed to be the case. And the way I described it in earlier days of COVID was, it makes the most sense that COVID-19 came from a lab. We have the logic, but there's a missing link. There's the missing direct evidence that we know exactly how it leaked from a lab. However, you don't always need direct evidence. Sometimes circumstantial evidence is enough. And we had studies coming out of the University of Beijing, South China or something like that, that they said that people had been bitten or peed on by bats. So eventually you get this narrative coming out in the media that it's a big conspiracy theory, that it's not true, that people are crackpots. Then you get the GOP coming out and saying lab leak theory seems to make the most sense. COVID-19 was made in a lab and leaked. And they said the GOP is a bunch of crackpot conspiracy theorists. Now, the New York Times reports lab leak most likely caused pandemic. Energy Department says, whoa, now we have, I said it was made with low confidence, but I can respect a low confidence opinion. Of course, everybody's looking at this being it's low confidence, but still the most probable. I love how the media repeatedly screamed that it was it must have been from bats 1,000 miles away. I mean, maybe, but that's even less probable. So here we are, my friends, with Woody Harrelson pushing a quote-unquote popular COVID-19 conspiracy theory. Because he made a joke? I love it. You know what I think this is? This is an indication, in my opinion, of IQs less than 100. And I know that people like to call these journalists midwits. A midwit is someone of slightly above average intelligence, but not smart enough. No, I don't think so. These people seemingly have no memory. It's they have amnesia. They cannot understand the past. I was talking to my brother the other day, and he was saying something about they would ask a question. If you did not eat breakfast yesterday morning, how do you think you would have felt? And people with under 90 IQs would say something like, but I did eat breakfast. And then it's no, but if you didn't, they'd be huh? I ate breakfast. They couldn't understand hypotheticals and something else. I don't know exactly what that was all about. But, it makes sense that journalists seemingly have foggy brains. And they can't remember exactly what's happening all around them. And they can't take into consideration a few simple facts. And that is, the media has been wrong about everything. Not to mention the experts, when it comes to COVID, have been wrong about everything. But you know what? I do feel like I'm ranting a little bit too much. So let me show you exactly what Woody Harrelson said right here. And then we'll read the news. And I'm going to go through all of the L's from the media.
And start reading. Okay, so the movie goes like this. The biggest drug cartels in the world get together and buy up all the media and all the politicians and force all the people in the world to stay locked in their homes. And people can only come out if they take the cartel's drugs and keep taking them over and over. I threw the script away. I mean, who is going to believe that crazy idea? Being forced to do drugs? I do that voluntarily all day long. Anyway, it's about that time.
It's okay. It wasn't the strongest of jokes. And it was weird. I see this story. I see the Daily Beast writing, they're like, Woody Harrelson's pushing conspiracy theories. And I'm like, well, I better watch the opening monologue now. I don't watch SNL. And then I did. And I watched it. And I'm sitting there for like 6 minutes like, okay, gotta be honest, kind of boring. Woody Harrelson has this kind of stoner humor. And I'm just like, I think Woody Harrelson's great. And then finally at the end, I hear that. And I'm like, well, okay. You know, he could have been a bit more over the top with it. He's like, forced to do drugs, I do that voluntarily. And it's like, so that's the punchline, is like he wants the vaccine, I guess, is the point. So what's funny is they're claiming he's pushing a conspiracy when he's literally saying, and you could take it any way you want, he's saying that nobody would have believed it. He could be talking about the conspiracy theorist in a negative way, which I doubt, because I've got another video for you from Bill Maher. And he could be saying, like, what do you mean? Like, they forced you to do it? I went and got it. He could be just saying what every Hollywood leftist says. We all love the vaccine, right? Here's what the Washington Post writes. America's stoner uncle, Woody Harrelson. Okay, I gotta pause right there. Is this a news outlet or are you writing an opinion piece? Return to SNL. In a monologue, he blah, blah, blah. Oh, here we go. The live audience offered scattered laughter, but viewers at home had a much more visceral reaction. Spitfire says on Twitter, Woody Harrelson nailed it, and I'm having fun watching the media prove him right. Variety, Huffington Post, Daily Beast, and Rolling Stone all saying Woody Harrelson said on it live, monologue makes COVID conspiracy jokes, anti-vax conspiracies, rambling SNL monologue, anti-vax conspiracies. Hey, they don't include themselves in this because I think the IQ of the journalists must be below 90. On SNL, Woody Harrelson pushes popular COVID-19 conspiracy theory, and then they outright reference the fact that they are being mocked for doing exactly what Woody Harrelson was joking about. Haha. Anti-vaccine proponents, were delighted with Harrelson red-pilling the masses and speaking truth to power. His joke referenced a pervasive conspiracy theory that pharmaceutical companies control the government and the media, and that they're forcing the public to take unnecessary vaccines. Okay. All right, let's slow down there a minute. That's not a conspiracy theory. Now, the framing maybe, but let's slow down there a minute. All right, big pharmaceutical companies, they buy ads on major networks. That's not in dispute at all. And these companies are beholden to advertisers. You, my friends, are not the customer of a media company. You're the product. The sponsors are the customers. Here's how it works. You may notice I don't like doing live ad reads. YouTube has ads that run on these channels, and they're YouTube's customers. You guys are my customers. Then I'll explain. For NBC, for ABC, for CBS, for whoever else, if they get sponsored by Pfizer, they're going to Pfizer and say, we can sell you access to X million people for X million dollars. That transaction has nothing to do with you. So when Pfizer, the customer, says, this is what I expect, they say, we're here to deliver for you. Now, what if the customer walked in to a bakery and said, I would like a large chocolate cake? And the bakery said, we're not here to sell you chocolate cakes. We're going to put only pistachio cakes, and we're going to write, you're stupid on the cake. And you're like, well, I won't buy it then. Wait. If you don't buy it, I go to business. It's like, okay, if I'm buying from you, don't smack talk me. Or I'll put it simply. Imagine you went to a bakery to buy a cake and they put up a big picture of you in the window saying you sucked and you were awful and we hate you. You'd probably not want to shop there anymore. Okay. So why would Pfizer buy ads on a network that disparages them? They won't. It's that simple. If I say, I want you to promote my brand, and then you have a staff member go on TV and rag on my brand, I'm not buying. You, the viewer, are not the customer. So here at Timcast.com, it is multifaceted. We do have programmatic ads on videos like this. That's where I make money on ads that YouTube autoplays or whatever. However, the real business model here at Timcast is I make these videos in an effort to convince you to become a member at timcast.com so that I'm not beholden to the advertisers. I don't know who's advertising on these channels. I guess sometimes coffee brand coffee is frequently on these channels. Good. I don't mind taking money from the quartering, but I don't know who else is on these channels. I can say whatever I want. And you know what? I might lose ad revenue because of it, but I don't care because you are my customer. I want you to have faith in the content I produce, and then you decide I would like to support the work by becoming a member at timcast.com to get access to behind the scenes and uncensored content and help us expand the operation and do more. I gotta be honest. All the biggest companies in the world, all these big brands have come to Timcast and said, we want to buy you, either sign you personally to our company or buy out your company. But they always include one very important thing in their contracts, and that is I am required to do like 3 ad reads per show personally myself, and I will not do it. We have like 3 sponsors on Timcast IRL per month, and they're companies we've had for a very, very long time, and they sponsoring a show like this, I think proves that they're good people. And so I accept that. But for the most part, we're going to sponsor ourselves, and we're going to get away from that. And that's why I'm not doing any of these deals. Look, I'll give you an example. I like the Daily Wire guys. I think they do good work. And I think so long as they're getting sponsors, it proves something good about those sponsors. But when in the middle of a show, Ben Shapiro or anybody else is talking about the importance of a new policy, and then he says, well, this policy may pass. But before we finish that, head over to website.com and check out this new product using promo code. Look, I got no beef if somebody wants to do that. That's the traditional business model. I ain't going to do it. I'm not doing it. So let's talk about what Woody Harrelson was saying. They've bought the government and the media. That is an indisputable fact. Pharmaceutical companies lobby, okay? They're not the only lobbyists. They're not the only one. The joke, I think George Carlin said it, I can't remember, is that the politicians have to wear patches all over their jackets for the corporations that sponsor them, that lobby them, that give them money for their campaigns. It's not just one. So yes, Big Pharma is a large contributor to super PACs because they want politicians to win. Those politicians then double down and say, oh yeah, we're going to, this product, you should get it. It provided a solution to politicians who could say, look, we're doing something. And it gave guaranteed contracts in the billions of dollars, $100 billion to Pfizer, I think it was. So yeah, if your IQ is very low, you may think that's a conspiracy theory. And for the media, they're getting paid to run ads. They're not going to go against this. They say the actor who described himself, and he never said unnecessary vaccines is the funny thing. The actor who described himself as an anarchist, Marxist, ethical hedonist, non-discriminatory empath, epistemological deconstructionist, and Texan, immediately began receiving accolades from people who oppose coronavirus vaccines. Others criticized Harrelson and SNL for airing his remarks. Isn't it funny? Thank you, SNL, for Woody Harrelson's insipid anti-vax monologue. Who are you going to have guest host next week? Scott Baio, Rob Schneider, Kevin Sorbo? Maybe invite Kanye back while you're at it. Well, all those are famous people. Yeah. Harrelson is not the only celebrity to land himself in hot water for seemingly promoting vaccine mistrust. Earlier this month, Shazam star Zachary Levy responded to an anti-vax tweet asking, do you agree or not that Pfizer is a real danger to the world? With hardcore agree. I think it's so hilarious. Before the conspiracy theory portion of his monologue, Harrelson promoted unity, saying this country seems so divided. Beautiful, ugly, black, white, blue, red. I love everybody. Maybe because I'm a redneck hippie. Look, he may have been making fun of the conspiracy theorists. Why didn't they go with that angle? Why didn't the media say Woody Harrelson mocks conspiracy theorists in monologue? The joke being, people actually believe that? I threw that script away. Wow. Yeah. Well, you got the monologue there. You've got Tommy Vex saying it's not predictable. It's a pattern. It's a planned. It's not a pattern, or it's no pattern. It's a planned response team. Can you hear me now? We have this from Kaneko.substack. Woody Harrelson criticizes. This is from February 26. 4 million views on the tweet, 1.7 million on the video. He says Woody Harrelson criticizes the government and the pharmaceutical industry for blocking affordable off-patent antivirals like hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin to profit from COVID-19 vaccines. He says ivermectin got made into a horse tranquilizer. Hydroxychloroquine got made ridiculous, and there was only one thing that could work, and that's the vaccine. And ultimately, because of that, billions of dollars were made. The last people I would trust with my health are big pharma and big government because neither one of those strike me as caring entities. They're all about profit, and it's insane the profit they've made. Well, I'll give him this one. It's weird how the media immediately came out screaming about ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. It's amazing that YouTube bans you if you claim ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine are effective treatments for COVID. I will tell you my personal opinion as a non-doctor individual, and don't forget to always talk to a doctor about what's right for you. I don't believe that hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin are going to help you with COVID. Another study just came out, and I think there's like a prominent journalist who's very critical of big pharma said another meta-analysis finds no correlation between ivermectin and the abatement of COVID symptoms. So look, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. What I think is the issue. Hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin are normal drugs that doctors prescribe. Ivermectin's world famous, won some Nobel Prize for these guys, cures river blindness. It's a very, very safe and effective treatment for river blindness, parasites, and worms. They give to horses. I was watching Yellowstone. I worked that in. You heard me. And they're squeezing the tube into the horse's mouth or whatever, and they're like, they love it. It's like candy to them. So what was crazy is the media demonized these things and claimed that Joe Rogan was taking horse medicine. And it's like, dude, look, it may not do anything, but what's with this weird anti-ivermectin zombie-like state? YouTube, what's your problem? What's wrong with your brains? Your IQs must be lower than 90. Yeah, you heard me. You can come out and talk. This is the crazy thing. The Daily Beast said the new poster boy for ivermectin, Tim Pool. And I'm like, I have repeatedly said I don't think it does anything for COVID. That's just me. I'm not a doctor. Go talk to a doctor. I don't know. I'm just saying I've looked at a bunch of studies, and I think people cherry pick data. But how crazy is it that they so desperately hate this medication? How weird is that? And that makes you feel like something weird is going on, right? So now we're learning this. And I'll probably have to do a longer segment for 1 p.m. on Lab Leak because this is big news. So now the government is saying, COVID probably leaked from a lab. And here's what I see. They screamed at the top of their lungs, "This is a conspiracy theory," says the media. And then finally, the government laments. They come out and they say, well, actually, it wasn't a conspiracy theory. And the media is forced to walk everything back, mocked, belittled. Ted Cruz says, 4 clowns for Glenn. Glenn Kessler tweeted in May 1st, 2020, "I fear Ted Cruz missed the scientific animation in the video that shows how it is virtually impossible for this virus to jump from the lab, or the many interviews with actual scientists. We deal in facts, and viewers can judge for themselves." Whoa. Glenn Kessler, editor-in-chief writer for the Washington Post's fact checker. Whoopsie. Oh, well, Glenn, you were very, very wrong about this one. Wall Street Journal exclusive, lab leak most likely, says agency. The New York Times saying the exact same thing. Counting the days. So that's the game, right? That's the game. The media will say something's a conspiracy, and then 2 years later come out and be like, actually, it's been almost 3 years. They'll come out and be like, y'all were right the whole time. And it makes me really wonder about what's going on. There's people who believe in this depopulation agenda, and maybe, I don't know, I don't believe, but I will say this. All of these policies, there are many policies in place that leads in the direction of depopulation. That is abortion, that is the sterilization of children, and now medical assistance in dying, birth control. All of these things reduce population. Plus, you got people like Bill Gates saying we have to reduce the population of the world because it's growing too quickly. And I don't completely disagree. I just don't know that culling humans is the right thing to do. I think technological expansion and intergalactic colonization is probably the best bet. We need cultural reformation so that we can get people off of eating ho-hos and ding-dongs and becoming morbidly obese and start getting people to be responsible and strong and working towards a better future. I think that's probably the best way to do it because we need more humans to build more technology. Anyway, here's where we're at. You can argue that's the case. And I have to wonder about what's going on with these low IQ people because they seem to forget very quickly. The media comes out and says X is false in a conspiracy theory, and then a year later, it turns out X was true the whole time. Smart or discerning people who watch the media and say, I don't know for sure, I'm going to wait and see. Well, they were correct. So what do you think's going to happen in a year or two with the current conspiracy theories? I've been hearing a whole lot about how climate change is causing heart attacks. Maybe. Maybe not. Don't look at me. I'm not a doctor. I can only tell you that I don't trust the media, and I try to do my own research using legitimate sources, and that means a few things. It means lab leak was more likely, even Jon Stewart was saying it. It also means that I'm not convinced ivermectin is going to do anything for anybody. But it means I also understand that ivermectin, for the most part, when prescribed by a doctor, is completely safe. I was prescribed ivermectin, said I didn't want it, and they told me just take it, and I did. I had no problems. Just follow your doctor's instructions and make sure you have a good doctor. But I'm not convinced, based on what I've read, that ivermectin is any kind of treatment. I honestly, I don't see it. I think it's tribalist. I think people are cherry picking data. Maybe, maybe not. So you don't want to fall into, and you don't want to fall into a position where you're undiscerning. And that means I may not be right. You're probably right on a lot of things that I'm wrong about. You just don't want to be a person that blindly believes whatever it is your tribe says, lest you end up on the wrong side of this one. But hey, I'll tell you right now, the government was mostly wrong. The conspiracy theorists were mostly right. So unfortunately for most people, especially the corporate press, if I was walking up to a roulette table and I had to choose one, the corporate press or the independent media, and you could put down your bet, come on. We all know where that cash is going. I would never bet $1 on the corporate press being right on these issues. To be fair, I use the corporate press a whole lot. But I try to fact check and break through. So while I may use corporate press for most of my sources, I don't use every story they publish. I have to navigate through the swamp and try and find the little gold nuggets that are scattered about in the garbage. It ain't easy, but it is what it is. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.